All right, my health psychology students, we're going to do a couple of things here. I'm going to go over the Petrie article first, Petrie and Pennebaker. Then I'm going to go over the Folkman, Lazarus, and Folkman article, and then highlight some things from the book. Each one of these will be worth about 50 points. And I did read your discussion board comments, and I'm actually going to add just a bit more and kind of go through these articles and hopefully build some points for you. And basically what I want you to do with the agenda here is to create a detailed outline. You'll have about 2 weeks to do this. Content points, and just kind of summarize some of the things I have to say. I did very much appreciate the comments you made, but I really wanted to take this Petrie article really from the start, from the intro. So first let's talk about what makes an introduction good. What are you supposed to have in an introduction? So a good introduction should have kind of the main question you're looking at, the main issue, and then a hypothesis. And so it should have a good literature review. And they kind of do this a bit here. They cite, Pennebaker cites himself a lot, but he's kind of the big shot in the field. And the idea is strong emotions and disease. So the idea as far as the content, the literature background is all about, do strong emotions have a negative impact on disease? Does suppressing emotion really cause poor health, is what he's trying to say. And so does writing somehow impact this? So he goes through some of the literature review, 1995, about this and talks about this, and then kind of goes through, and I would say it's very important for the end of the introduction, to focus on the end. The last statement of the introduction, if you look through it, is a very important statement. Do you recognize what that statement is? That is the hypothesis. So it's very interesting here. In this study, we investigated whether expressing emotions through writing about stressful or emotional topics would influence the immune system response. So very much kind of a psychoneuroimmunology idea, but notice what it's not quite saying there. Shouldn't it actually be a little stronger than just that? Shouldn't it actually say that expressing emotions should help the immune system? They use the word would influence the immune system. So that's a little bit questionable there. And we're going to kind of come back to that a little bit later, because there might be an ethical problem or two that they're trying to hide here. So next, let's go for the method section. So in a method section, the rule of thumb is basically say everything that if somebody wanted to replicate this, they could. So they get people from Auckland University in New Zealand to participate in the study, $50 at the time, which is something. And very interesting, though, the procedure. Did you focus in a little bit on the procedure there? On the second column, during each of the 4 writing days, I want you to write about the most traumatic and upsetting experience of your whole life. You can write on different topics or the same topic for all 4 days. Write about your deepest thoughts and feelings. Something that really, an event or an experience that you have not talked about with others in detail. So that was the treatment group. Now, the control group was just asked to write about, what they did on different aspects of your day. So they really shouldn't have done anything. There really shouldn't have been any changes there. And then, so we have that as the intervention. But think about that just for a minute or so. That intervention. You're writing in a dark room for 4 straight days about the worst thing of your life. Would you really think that that should help the immune system? If I asked you to go into a closet and write about the worst thing in the world, I'm not sure that that would actually really help things out very much. And so it's very interesting they assign people to do this. It's also very interesting that they think this might actually help people. It's also very interesting that who would normally protect people in this case? Could you do this type of experiment like this in America? No. It would be the Institutional Review Board who would say, I don't know if I really want you doing this. I would think talking with a therapist for 4 days or writing and talking would be a much better way. So this intervention for me has a number of ethical issues. The Institutional Review Board should protect people And I don't know if writing about the worst thing in the world alone for 4 days would really help things out. So, dependent variables, they measure physiology, skin conductance, we don't know what would happen there, a physical symptom scale, they look at what people write about, and then for the psychoneuroimmunology, they look at the immune system there to see what's going on with that. T cells, B cells, all the immune system players, natural killer cells, those are all the dependent variables. So we kind of have some real questions here. Should this really help, and what should really happen here? And so then we get to the results section. So what makes a results section okay? Well, it should basically communicate key findings and simple visuals, good real-world statements, and so forth. So let's take a little look here at Figure 1. So Figure 1, kind of weird there. The days of writing, if you were writing alone in a dark room for a few days, your skin conductance went down. Not sure what that means, if that's good, bad, or otherwise, but I don't know. It doesn't really look like they have very much here when you look at things. Now, this is not a statistics class, but they've got that. And then we could even go a little bit further here to the table. What is it? Table number 1. So you might not know too much about the immune system, but CD4, CD8, CD56, natural killer cell activity, these are all immune system players. And the main hypothesis that I thought we were speculating on is that if you write about traumatic things for 4 days, it should help your system. Do we really see that? Not necessarily so. Look at the CD4 cell. See the little stars there? The day after writing about this, if you were in the treatment group, the worst thing in the world, your CD4 cells are down. That's significant. And your basophils the day after are also down. So I would actually argue that being alone, writing about something traumatic for 4 straight days, is not going to be useful. And then if you look at these other results, really nothing else to speak of here. And so the data really don't argue that this intervention really worked. And so this is kind of misleading and worth questioning about a little bit. So we kind of go through the results and we're not sure. Now let's get to the discussion. So what are the 4 key points of a discussion? You're supposed to summarize your main findings first, tie it to the literature review, strengths and weaknesses, and future ideas. And let's take a read through on paragraph number 1 in the discussion. The results of this study confirm that expression of emotions concerning stressful or traumatic events can produce measurable effects on the human immune system. And they're not actually saying what those effects were. Important aspects. Participants in the emotion writing group developed a small but higher levels and antibodies to hepatitis V than the control group. Yeah, but it wasn't significant. Nothing here was significant. If you look at the bottom of 790, when they took the 5 antibody positive participants out, the interaction was not significant. So they really don't have anything here, is my basic conclusion here. So they say, oh, we got all these effects, and then they talk about all their other studies and how emotional expression can help, but they really don't have any data to support their contention. And so what I would say to you in summary here is, I find this article highly questionable. And I find it highly questionable that the authors actually produced this article, number 1, but not only that the authors produced this, but the journal shouldn't. If I can pick up these things, this is a peer-reviewed journal. The Journal of Consulting in Clinical Psychology is considered one of the best journals out there. Shouldn't the authors have picked up the reviewers that they really found absolutely nothing here and just were talking about things and how unethical it was? So I believe there was purposeful manipulation here. Their hypothesis statement would influence. I believe they wrote that on purpose, not say better or worse, but would influence. And then in their discussion, they deceive again. And then even in their result, in their method section, I think they're doing something highly questionable in terms of ethics. No institutional review board in the United States would approve of this, and the results really don't show much of anything good about writing alone for 4 days. So this article, to me, really lacks a lot of positive things. So if you could type up a summary of what is supposed to go on in a good section of each one of these, and then kind of what the problems are that I see. If you don't agree with these and you have some other thoughts, you can express them, but I just wanted to kind of teach you on these basic elements. Thanks. Bye-bye.